Situationships are probably not going to work out in your best interest. I've been a therapist for 13 years. Let's review some of the ways that these pseudo relationships are probably destined for failure. Let's go.
We're seeing some of these newfangled developments like situationships, polyamory, or whatever, which is human beings' adaptations to whatever the fuck we're living in today. So why are situationships on the rise? First of all, our dopaminergic circuitry is getting messed up. We need sustained attention. We're not having sustained attention. We're trying to hedge our bets, right? We don't want to fall in love with someone who's not going to fall in love with us. And so what we end up with is this sort of desire for friendship without a romantic commitment, right?
A lot of the younger generation folks like to end up in these situationships where the pseudo nature of the relationship, the lack of commitment, has led to a lot of destruction. And I want to review some of the ways that that's psychologically true today with you. My name is Casey. I'm the Rumble Right Dad. I've been a therapist for 13 years, a father for 10, a conservative for 10, and a husband for 11. And this is so important because I want people's relationships to succeed, but I also want you as a person entering into these situationships to protect yourself because they are not psychologically good for you.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
First off, there is no clear commitment. In a situationship, the exit cost remains low and either party can leave at any time, which makes it really interestingly easy to dip out, which demonstrates that there's just a lack of commitment to begin with, which does not end up making anyone feel secure on either end, man or woman, or whatever your flavor.
About commitment. And now we get to the second big reason why I think situationships are on the rise, and that's because no one knows what to expect from the future. So the rate of instability in the world is skyrocketing. The rate of uncertainty in the world is skyrocketing. You don't know where you're going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. You have no idea about yourself, let alone someone else.
According to Bowlby in his 1969 attachment theory, the ambiguity within a situationship type arrangement requires that those partners end up being hypervigilant, they end up being jealous, they end up withdrawing or eroding trust because the stability isn't there to begin with. And when you demonstrate that you really don't have that big of commitment, then the person ends up just feeling that there's holes in the safety net and that they're constantly apt to slip through. And that ends up making people insecure and causes them to behave with anxiety, which actually makes you less attractive in the relationship and makes it problematic that you would have a lasting relationship that's healthy and good after that.
Jail. So this is sort of what we see in the world today is this weird prisoner's dilemma of if I am open to falling in love, but you are not, then I'm screwed. And the vice versa is also true. So the safest play that everyone comes up with is the situation.
Part of the arrangement in a situationship is that we avoid conflict out of necessity because the investment strategy is we don't even care enough to really hash out our problems. And that means that your growth together, your ability to resolve those conflicts is stunted, which prevents either party from having real ability to enmesh themselves together and to be a support for each other in ways that's actually going to promote your thriving in the relationship moving forward. Again, leaning into Gottman's theory, strong couples form a shared meaning system from his top of the sound relationship house, which includes rituals, values, and future plans. Situationships, by design, avoid these discussions. Without shared narrative, the relationship is more like a parallel cohabitation or a parallel co-life, but not ever one that's a real partnership.
Researchers around the prevalence of friends with benefits among college students to be anywhere between 51 and 60% at one time or another, right? So this is a study from this paper. So this study came out in 2009.
In situationships, the power balance can be out of whack. And so when one partner has more commitment than the other, then the other one always ends up feeling insecure. And we've all been in these relationships when you're responding to someone with insecurity and when you feel like you need to go over the top to demonstrate, you end up being a simp. When you need to go over the top to demonstrate your bona fides within the relationship because the other person isn't as committed, we end up creating a power imbalance. And equity theory suggests that relationships thrive when both people feel that their contributions are balanced. These situationships are inherently out of balance because one person always wants it more than the other. Bottom line is, psychologically, situationships are like trying to build a house without a foundation. They might stand for a while, but in truth, the spontaneity and the low responsibility cannot last because when stress, temptation, or opportunity comes along, they will collapse. They lack commitment and security. They lack shared goals, and they lack proven conflict resolution. So when you end up coming into conflict, when there's an opportunity for a partner that maybe is more exciting or more novel to your situationship, then the other person ends up dipping out, and we're left on that rubble of that house because the pillar of it was that it was low on commitment. And when you build a house in that way, when you take out the low commitment, then it falls apart. I wouldn't be doing my job as a therapist and somebody who tries to tell the truth from a conservative perspective on this channel if I didn't try to give you the commissioning. What do you do if you're in a situationship? Well, someone who is wiser than me named Stuart Wilde once wrote in a book called Silent Power. He writes, "When in doubt, lean out." Because if you're in a low commitment relationship and you are trying to cover, let's say your partner is a little bit boundary heavy and they move a little bit away from you. Well, if you try to cover that distance, you're like a boxer leaning into a fight. And any boxer knows that when you lean in, you throw your balance and your structure out of whack, and you can be laid out quickly and immediately. So if you are in doubt in your situationship, lean out of it. That doesn't mean that you're giving up hope that it might turn into a more committed relationship, but you will make yourself more alluring and more attractive and more, you will have a higher likelihood of that person then pursuing you if you lean further out. But if you lean too far in, you're like that boxer or that fighter, putting yourself at risk, and you can just get knocked flat out. That doesn't mean that I'm not rooting for your relationship. I want situationships to succeed. I want them to be good, and I want you to have ultimately a marriage and children and all those good things that provide so much meaning and purpose in the lives of not just the people I see in my therapy practice, but for you out there in the internet world. So if there's any questions about situationships that I, as a couples counselor, as a substance use counselor, as a just a normal anxiety, depression counselor, and a Christian man, if I can answer any of your questions, I would do it in a video response, and I'll post it on the channel. I'll keep you anonymous. Reach out to me at rumblewritedad@gmail.com. And if I can be of any service to you, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate the support. Let's move towards 2,000 subs as quick as we can. I love you guys. Have a good one.